Ever felt your stomach turn when you were about to say something you didn't really mean? Like your body was physically stopping you from bullshitting someone? Or worse, yourself? Here's the thing most people won't tell you. That's not anxiety. That's your system waking up. And once it starts, there's no going back. Alan Watts spent decades trying to explain something that sounds almost too strange to be true. That as you align with your authentic self, reality itself begins to behave differently around you. Not in some mystical, woo-woo way, but in tangible, undeniable ways that'll make you question everything you thought you knew about how life works. In this video, we're diving into 3 unmistakable signs that your spiritual energy is shifting. And I'm not talking about feeling more peaceful or meditating better. I'm talking about your body physically rejecting lies, the universe responding to your thoughts like some cosmic echo chamber, and people around you reacting to your presence as if you're radiating something they can't quite name. Now, before you click away thinking this is about becoming special or developing some spiritual ego, stick with me. This is actually about the opposite. It's about the profound relief of finally dropping the exhausting performance we've all been running since childhood. And if you've been feeling like you're going slightly mad lately, like the rules of reality are bending around you, well, you're not crazy. You're just waking up. If this resonates with you, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to support the channel. We're building a community of people who are done with the bullshit, and your support helps us keep creating content like this. Let's get into it. You know that feeling when you're about to agree to something you don't want to do, and suddenly your chest tightens? Or when you're forcing a smile at a party you hate being at, and your jaw starts to ache? That's not just stress. That's your body staging a full-scale rebellion against the lie you're living in that moment. See, here's what Alan Watts understood that most spiritual teachers miss. Your body isn't some dumb vehicle carrying around your enlightened mind. It's actually smarter than your overthinking brain will ever be. It knows the truth before your thoughts can twist it into something socially acceptable. Think about it this way. You've probably spent years training yourself to ignore these signals. Someone asks how you're doing. You say fine, while your stomach is in knots. Your boss pitches an idea you know is terrible, but you nod along while your shoulders creep up toward your ears. We've all become expert actors in our own lives, performing for an audience that isn't even watching that closely. But here's where high vibration comes in. And I don't mean that in some vague, mystical sense. I mean a literal increase in your sensitivity to discord between what you feel and what you're doing. When your spiritual awareness starts to heighten, your body becomes what I call a truth detector on steroids. Suddenly, that polite lie you would have told without a second thought makes you physically nauseated. That networking event where everyone's wearing masks, you can't even get through the door without feeling like you're suffocating. Your system is essentially saying, nope, we're not doing this anymore. And the wild part, this isn't a sign that something's wrong with you. It's a sign that something's finally going right. The people operating at lower frequencies can compartmentalize this stuff. They can smile through the discomfort, push through the physical resistance, medicate away the symptoms. But once you start vibrating at a higher level of consciousness, that option disappears. Your body won't let you compromise your authentic self anymore. It's like trying to eat food that's gone bad. Your system rejects it automatically, no negotiation. And this is where things get interesting, because this physical rejection of inauthenticity isn't just happening in isolation. Right around the time your body starts revolting against lies, something even stranger happens. You think about someone you haven't spoken to in years, and they text you within the hour. You need an answer to a problem, and you randomly overhear a conversation that gives you exactly what you need. Books fall off shelves, songs play at impossible moments, and you start seeing the same numbers everywhere you look. Now, most people write this off as coincidence. But here's what Alan Watts would tell you. There's no such thing as a coincidence when you're aligned with your authentic self. Synchronicity isn't magic. It's what happens when the boundary between your inner world and outer reality starts to dissolve. Think of it like this. Most people walk through life with a thick wall between what they think and what they experience. Their thoughts are private, separate, locked away in their heads. But as your consciousness expands and you drop the pretenses, that wall becomes transparent. Suddenly, the universe starts responding to your internal state like it's been listening all along. And honestly, it probably has been. You were just too busy performing to notice. This is where people start thinking they're losing their minds. Because how do you explain to someone that the world seems to be speaking directly to you? That every song on the radio feels personally chosen? That strangers say exactly what you needed to hear? You can't. Not without sounding delusional. But here's the thing Watts understood from years of studying Eastern philosophy. You're not separate from reality. You're not a consciousness inside a body, walking through an external world. You are the world, experiencing itself. So when synchronicity increases, it's not the universe sending you messages. It's you recognizing yourself in everything around you. The more authentic you become, the more reality mirrors that authenticity back to you. Stop pretending you're fine when you're not, and watch how quickly people stop pretending around you. Start honoring what you actually want, and notice how opportunities align with those desires. This isn't manifestation in that oversimplified, think positive and get rich sense. This is something deeper. It's the natural result of removing the static between who you are and how you show up. And once this feedback loop starts, it amplifies everything, including the way people respond when you walk into a room. Here's where things get really uncomfortable. You're minding your own business, being more yourself than you've ever been, and suddenly people are reacting to you like you're radioactive. Some are drawn to you with an intensity that feels almost aggressive. Others can't get away from you fast enough, like your very existence is an accusation. You haven't changed your behavior. If anything, you're calmer, more centered than before. So what the hell is happening? Alan Watts would say you've become a living mirror, and most people hate what they see when they look at you. When you operate from a place of radical authenticity, you emit a frequency that other people pick up on, whether they're conscious of it or not. It's not about being better than anyone. It's about being real in a world where most people are performing. And that realness, it's threatening as hell to anyone still invested in their act. Think about it. You walk into a room where everyone's engaged in polite small talk, wearing their social masks, playing their roles. And there you are, just being, not trying to impress anyone, not apologizing for taking up space, not dimming yourself to make others comfortable. Your presence alone exposes the game everyone else is playing. The people who are ready to wake up, they'll feel it like relief. They'll gravitate toward you because you represent permission to drop their own masks. These are the folks who suddenly want to tell you their deepest secrets, who open up in ways that surprise even them. But the people still clinging to their false selves, you're going to disturb them on a level they can't articulate. They might get hostile, dismissive, or just mysteriously uncomfortable around you. And here's the kicker. You're not doing anything to them. Your authentic presence is simply highlighting the gap between who they are and who they're pretending to be. This is what Watts meant when he talked about higher consciousness not being a badge of honor. It's more like a responsibility you didn't ask for. You can't fake it anymore, which means you can't let others fake it around you either. Not through judgment or confrontation, but simply through existing as you are. Your energy becomes a tuning fork that either resonates with people or creates discord. And while it might feel isolating at first, this is actually the universe's way of reorganizing your relationships around truth rather than convenience. Because once you've crossed this threshold, there's no going back to the comfortable lie. Let's talk about what dies when you start operating at this level. And I mean really dies, not transforms, not evolves, but actually ceases to exist. It's your social mask, that carefully constructed persona you've been maintaining since you first learned that being yourself had consequences. Most people spend their entire lives tending to this mask, adjusting it for different audiences, repairing it when it cracks. But here's what's new from decades of observation. Once you taste authentic presence, maintaining that mask becomes physically impossible. It's not a choice anymore. It's an extinction. The death of the social mask doesn't happen gently. There's no spiritual bypass where you meditate your way into authentic living while keeping everyone comfortable. No, this is more like a demolition. You'll find yourself in situations where you used to perform effortlessly, and suddenly you just can't. The script you've been reading from your whole life goes blank. Someone asks you to participate in the usual social dance, and your mouth won't form the words. It's terrifying because you're losing the primary tool you've used to navigate the world. But it's also the most liberating thing that'll ever happen to you. Here's where people get confused about spiritual maturity. They think it means becoming more enlightened, more special, ascending to some higher plane where you glow with inner peace. But what's with laugh at that? Real spiritual growth looks more like becoming boringly ordinary, except you're finally, genuinely okay with it. You're not trying to be anything. You're not managing anyone's perception of you. You're just here, as you are, without apology or performance. And that ordinariness, that's what's actually extraordinary, because almost nobody achieves it. When the mask dies, what's left is something most people haven't seen since childhood. Your actual face. Not the face you show the world, but the one that exists when nobody's watching. And here's the paradox. Once you stop trying to be impressive, interesting, or acceptable, you become all three naturally. Because authenticity is magnetic in a way performance never can be. People might not always like what they see, but they can't look away. Your presence becomes undeniable because there's finally someone home behind your eyes. And this shift, this dropping of the act, reveals something even more fundamental about who you actually are. So here's the big reveal, the thing Alan Watts spent his entire career trying to communicate. You're not a person having a spiritual experience. You're the universe having a human experience. And I know that sounds like exactly the kind of mystical nonsense that makes practical people roll their eyes. But stay with me. When you drop the performance, when your body rejects lies, when synchronicity floods your life and your presence starts affecting everyone around you, what's actually happening is that you're remembering what you've always been. Think about it like this. You've spent your whole life believing you're a separate thing, a consciousness trapped inside a body, isolated from everything else. That belief required constant maintenance. You had to defend your boundaries, manage your image, protect your interests because you were small and the world was big and threatening. But as your vibration increases, that sense of separation starts to dissolve. Not because you're becoming one with the universe in some abstract sense, but because you're recognizing that you never weren't. The boundaries were always imaginary. You've been the whole thing pretending to be a fragment. When this recognition hits, and I mean really hits, not just as an intellectual concept, everything changes. Suddenly, that crushing pressure to become something, to achieve something, to prove something just evaporates. Because how can the universe need to prove itself? To whom? You're already everything, experiencing itself through this particular human lens. The relief is almost overwhelming. All those years of striving, performing, trying to be enough, they were based on a fundamental misunderstanding of what you are. You weren't broken. You weren't lacking. You were just confused about your own nature. And here's what nobody tells you about this realization. It doesn't make you special. It makes you finally beautifully ordinary. You're not ascending to some higher plane. You're descending into the simple truth of being here, now, as this. No fireworks, No cosmic downloads, no supernatural abilities. Just the profound relief of dropping the exhausting story you've been telling about yourself. This is what high vibration actually means. Not floating above reality, but finally landing in it fully. Not becoming more, but recognizing you've always been enough. And once you see it, once you really get that you're not in the universe, but are the universe, well, everything else we've talked about starts to make perfect sense. So here's the question you need to sit with. How much energy are you burning every single day trying to be someone you're not? How many stomach aches, tight shoulders, and sleepless nights are the price you're paying to maintain a performance nobody's even asking for? Because here's what we've covered. Your body knows when you're lying, reality responds to your authenticity, and your presence affects everyone around you whether you intend it or not. These aren't theories. They're observable phenomena that intensify the more aligned you become with your true self. Alan Watts spent decades pointing at this truth from every possible angle. You're not broken, you're not lacking, and you don't need fixing. You just need to stop pretending. The high vibration everyone's chasing isn't something you develop. It's what remains when you drop the act. It's your natural state. The question is, are you ready to live from that place? Even when it makes people uncomfortable. Even when it costs you relationships that were built on mutual performance. Even when it means standing alone until you find others who are done with the bullshit too. Here's what I want you to do. Pick one area of your life where you're still performing, still lying to yourself or others to keep the peace. Just one. And for the next week, practice radical honesty in that space. Watch what happens to your body. Notice the synchronicities. Pay attention to how people respond. Then come back and tell me I'm wrong. Tell me nothing changed. I'll wait. If this video hit you differently, if you felt that recognition of truth rather than just intellectual agreement, do me a solid. Smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. We're building something here, a community of people who are choosing authenticity over approval, truth over comfort. Your subscription tells YouTube to show this content to more people who need it. Drop a comment below about which of these 3 signs you're experiencing right now. Let's create a space where we can talk about this stuff without the usual spiritual bypassing or new age nonsense. And here's the final thing Watts would want you to understand. This isn't about becoming someone better. It's about the relief of finally being yourself. A piece of the universe that stopped pretending it's anything other than the universe. That's it. That's the whole game. Now go live like you finally got the joke.